All right, let's stay with that story and let's now bring in political analyst Bhekisisa Mncube as well as political analyst Professor Seepe, and they join us now via our video link. And Mr. Mncube, I'm going to start off with you. Looking at this motion of no confidence, it has been brought forward by the MK party. The MK party enjoys at least 37 of the numbers in the provincial legislature there in KZN. What is the likelihood of the MK party succeeding in their motion of no confidence tomorrow?
I mean, Mbali, the MK was supposed to form a new coalition government in KwaZulu-Natal 18 months ago. And for reasons that we all know, that internally, the MK is in total chaos. They failed to secure the votes from other parties so that they could form a government. So that is where we are now, is because of that failure of the MK 18 months ago. I am not going to suggest tonight that the future of KwaZulu-Natal is in better hands if the MK reclaims what is on the basis of the numbers rightfully theirs. We do have a problem with the MK that internally, the internal democracy there is non-existent. They have changed, at the last number I counted, about 3 times, just a chief whip. So imagine if KwaZulu-Natal had a premier from the MK. We could have one premier every month for the duration of the outcome of the 7th administration. So the reality is that KwaZulu-Natal has fared much better under the leadership of the IFP, with the support of the ANC and the DA. So if you're to vote for stability, then that is your coalition.
Yeah.
If you want to vote for chaos, then you vote for the MK. It's so much beyond the numbers. It's about the future of KwaZulu-Natal, and it's about the people on the ground, not about what we prefer as the talking heads on television.
Yeah, and Professor Seepe, I'd like to bring you in here. And I mean, you can hear that Mr. Mncube is saying that the MK party should have governed 18 months ago. And that's the sentiment that has come across recently, that the MK party did get the majority of the votes, but they didn't get 50% of the votes, and they should be allowed to govern. What do you make of this rhetoric that says, you know, they should be given the space to govern KZN? Professor Seepe, could you please unmute yourself? We can hear you now.
I'm not sure that can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the truth of the matter is the ANC holds the view that the party that wins a majority, whether it's at the provincial level, whether it's at the council level, whether it's at the national level, should be a party that will lead in forming a coalition. But what you had in KZN was a decision by parties that did not command a large number of votes to gang up against a party that had almost swept the floor. So it is correct that if we believe in the notion of democracy, the people of KwaZulu-Natal had made a concrete expression in terms of which party they prefer. Now we find ourselves in this scenario. And the argument that is presented about what subsequently happened in the MK is not the argument that prevailed at the moment of the formation of this coalition government in the KZN. Those are things that subsequently happened. And therefore, it is also not clear that if that had happened, that would have meant that we would have had premiers being changed every time. That is not a given. This is what we surmise based on what we have seen. But you can't use subsequent arguments or developments as the base argument. You must start first with the argument that all parties agree to, that the majority must prevail. And the parties that win that sweep the floor should be given that opportunity. But it is not so much that the ANC, the MK, failed at that moment to win other people. The other people are very opposed to the MK position. The ANC was not going to support the MK, given that it is the MK that led to its own decimation. And the DA was not going to support the MK because ideologically they're very clear. The MK argues that the DA is a party of privilege, and this current coalition exists only to maintain and to manage these the structures of domination, the very structures that have led to this recycling and the reproduction of poverty. So let's be clear about it. And at the moment, what is emerging is a position where the EFF, that used to call the MK enemy number one, has also acknowledged that when it comes to democracy, it is not about us liking a party. It is us about believing in democratic expression. And the people of KwaZulu-Natal have expressed themselves. Yes, the MK has problems, but those problems are the post factor or post activities that came much after the coalition government was started. So I do think that tomorrow, what will happen, it will be more about which party ultimately is able to win. Ultimately, the debates will actually clarify. Yes, I agree that Ntuli has actually led a stability, but the people from the other side, they say it is a stability that leads to the perpetuation of elite privilege, elite control, and not a change in the economic structures that produce conditions of poverty.
And Mr. Mncube, coming back to you and talking about the EFF, they say that they will support this motion of no confidence. There is the issue around the NFP, and it seems as if they come on board, the likelihood of this, of course, a motion of no confidence succeeding is quite high. But they'll have to do more work than that, right, Mr. Mncube? Because if these two parties vote with the MK party, the votes will be split into two, and it will be 40 against 40.
It is going to be very tight, and it is going to be very difficult for the ANC-DA nexus to remain in power. We know that because the numbers don't lie. You know, the reality of the situation is that what we have is a problem of the elite pact, which is the alliance of the ANC and the DA and the IFP, vis-a-vis a complete chaos that will ensure if the MK claims its rightful place as a leader of government in KwaZulu-Natal. The MK is a total chaotic party. At a level of leadership internally, they change provincial leaders every time. They change chief whips every time. At a National Assembly, we all have watched the spectacle. There is nothing that says to us, if they were to be in government, there is going to be stability and a sense of what the policy will be about when it comes to the economy, when it comes to crime, when it comes to issues of investor confidence. There is nothing that the MK can offer investors in its chaotic state. So this is not about whether I prefer, whether who prefers what. It's about the people of KwaZulu-Natal. And they were beginning to have that sense of certainty that we're going somewhere with provincial government. So I am not certain that at this stage of our development, KwaZulu-Natal requires the MK.
And going back to you, Professor Seepe, I mean, you can hear there, Mr. Mncube, he's really not certain if whether the MK party can govern the KwaZulu-Natal province. What are your thoughts? Do you think that the MK party can be able to govern the KwaZulu-Natal province? Because, I mean, like you say, the numbers lean more towards them. I mean, obtaining at least 37 of those seats in government in KwaZulu-Natal, do you think that they are ready to govern?
I mean, if you look at their behavior right now, it doesn't inspire any confidence, which is something that they must address. Having said that, we must also be very careful about how we use the notion of stability. You can't say, as we speak, South Africa is actually stable. You just have to look at the number of protests that are taking place. And this is the same argument that has always been used in the past, that if black people take over, then you're going to have things go all right. Yes, they may have gone all right, but we have to also ask ourselves that what are we saying? Are we saying when people vote in a particular way, and as Mandrema says, if they vote foolishly, we must disregard their foolish vote because we are better spaced and placed to be able to say how they should vote. So the issue here is the same argument that we've always had, that if you bring these people and people vote for them, then we are going to disregard the vote because they are going to bring chaos. Yes, at the moment, I accept that the MK party needs to sort itself out because it is it's giving credit to the notion that it is a party that is in a crisis, and therefore it cannot be given that responsibility. But ultimately, it is not up to us. It is up to the people of KwaZulu-Natal to make that determination, and they have made that determination. But I'm very worried when we start saying that I'm seeing stability, and therefore I'm going to make sure that democracy does not count. Democracy must come first, and parties must then address that issue of how they come across, because if they create chaos, the people will punish them. But don't tell me that South Africa at the moment is very stable, with so much grotesque inequality, with so much unemployment, with so many potholes, with so much load shedding. We are not a country that is not in a chaotic situation.
All right, Professor Seepe, thank you so much for your time. And gentlemen, thank you so much for your thoughts tonight. That's Professor Sipho Seepe there and Bhekisisa Mncube just giving us an insight in terms of their thoughts when it comes to that motion of no confidence that will take place tomorrow in the KZN legislature. Of course, this is a motion of no confidence which has been brought forward by the MK party.